It's 1989, Chamblee, Georgia, shortly before 11 a.m. A man named Kenneth Lamar Noid walks into a Dominos with a gun. He takes 2 employees hostage and claims Dominos founder Tom Monaghan is targeting him. His demands? $100,000, a white getaway limo, and a sci-fi book titled The Widow's Son. When I first heard this, I thought it was just a weird headline. Then I started pulling on the thread, doing a little detective work, and it kept leading back to just one thing: Domino's original 30 minutes or less campaign. So how does a promise of fast pizza convince a man to commit a crime that will ruin his life forever? Let's find out. In the national pizza system, the people are represented by 2 separate yet equally important groups: the drivers who deliver and the customers who prosecute late offenders. These are their stories. Okay, so I was trying to figure out how a promise about pizza could possibly lead to a hostage situation. And honestly, the real story is much darker than I imagined. This goes back to 1979, which, let's be real, was probably before most of us was even around. Definitely me, I'm not that old. Back then, Domino's was having a real tough time with sales. You might remember that in the early 90s when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were huge, there was a whole thing about pizza being delivered in 30 minutes or less.
Time's up. $3 off.
Well, Domino's created that. And it wasn't just a catchy slogan either. It was a full-on guarantee. Order pizza, and if it doesn't arrive within 30 minutes, $3 off. No excuses. The clock starts the moment you hang up that rotary phone. Also, crazy to think that there's a whole generation that has never literally hung up a phone or heard an actual dial tone. Anyway, for Domino's, this guarantee becomes like their whole entire identity. Who cares about having the best pizza or the most toppings? It's now the era of speed and reliability. Not our show speed. And it works. Throughout the 80s, Domino's explodes from a small regional chain into a national powerhouse. By 1985, they're opening new stores faster than the leading chain, Pizza Hut. By 1989, they've gone from 200 locations to nearly 5,000 locations. Over time, though, like anything, people will begin to take advantage of the system. It's just the way that it is. What once started as an efficiency campaign quickly pivoted into a public countdown, turning everyone into referees just watching a 30-minute shot clock. And honestly, I don't blame them. Who doesn't want free pizza or money off on a Friday night after a trip to Blockbuster?
Hey, this is a 10. The tab's 13.
You're 2 minutes late, dude.
Ah, come on. I couldn't find a place.
But inside Domino's, that timer starts to change everything. It stops being about pizza and somehow turned the company into an amateur NASCAR league. Because if customers are watching the clock at home, imagine what it's like being inside of the store. Everything is now measured against that 30-minute promise. And you know it's mostly teenagers with this job, right? Every order's now a race to beat the clock or take a loss.
Pizza dude's got 30 seconds.
Oh, the customer side is just as bad because now ordering Domino's isn't just ordering food. It's an actual game. People are now timing it, just waiting for that delivery driver to slip up. People are standing and waiting at the door. And this is when the timer becomes a real issue. You can only turn dinner into a countdown for so long before somebody gets hurt. And suddenly Domino's isn't fast anymore. It's reckless. The jokes dry up real quick when the headlines start sounding like court documents. So now Domino's has an even bigger problem, even more than late pizza. They've got a promise that's turning into pressure, and pressure bursts consequences.
Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come.
And they need an enemy people can blame that isn't the brand. 1986, Domino's hires Group 243, and Will Vinton Studios to create what you may call a scapegoat. A character called the Noid is born. You know, that weird looking clay guy wearing a red suit with rabbit ears and buck teeth. His sole mission is to ruin your pizza. Claymation spots position him as the enemy of hot, fast delivery. The deflection is pure genius. The campaign immediately explodes with TV ads everywhere. Avoid the Noid computer game in 1989. Yo Noid Nintendo game in 1990. Plush toys, merch, licensing deals. The Noid was unavoidable in the golden age of television. CBS even pitches a Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah, those were the good days of TV. But the funny thing about symbols, though, is there's an effect that happens, especially within advertising. I present to you evidence. Exhibit A, the problem. Late pizzas meant lost money, bad headlines, and the kind of legal heat that makes a boardroom sweat. Because once your whole brand is a timer, you can no longer blame delays on traffic. And customers will say,
"You're a liar, lady."
Exhibit B, the scapegoat. Domino doesn't fight the timer anymore. They gave it a buck-tooth face made of clay, all while completely separating themselves from the liability they were once responsible for. What's really crazy is this worked flawlessly. The brand is now inseparable from the character. Domino's is back on top with even more ways of profiting, and not even with a slice of pizza.
Mozzarella.
But sometimes comedy has a dark side, because sitting at home in Albany, Georgia, was a 22-year-old man named Kenneth who was not enjoying those commercials the same way the rest of America was. And that's when the countdown becomes more real. Enter Kenneth Lamar Noid.
Who?
He wasn't just paranoid. He was completely convinced the entire campaign was a personal attack orchestrated by Tom Monaghan himself. I mean, the name. Crazy coincidence. Yes, the commercials, along with the relentless exposure at the time, was completely unavoidable. But to Kenneth Noid, this was not a coincidence. It was a personal attack and persecution directly from Domino's themselves. In other words, you could say Kenneth was actually annoyed.
Stop it. Get some help.
He'd tell anyone who'd listen that Domino's owner Monaghan was stalking him, that he was actually after him, coming into his apartment and watching him. The Noid character wasn't a mascot to Kenneth. No, it was a mockery. In his mind, with his name attached, that was his name. Every time he saw the ads, that made the belief deepen. Every piece of merch, every arcade game release, the exposure was inescapable. And to Kenneth, that meant only one thing. The threat to his life was very real. Until January 30th, 1989. Kenneth had finally had enough. So he gets into his car and drives 3 hours from Albany to Chamblee, Georgia. Why he chose a Domino's in Chamblee versus anywhere else closer, no idea. But he found a Domino's in Chamblee, walked through the door, pulled out a gun, and the countdown starts. It's just before 11 a.m. and Kenneth, he enters the Domino's brandishing a .357 Magnum. Takes 2 employees, Sean Burns, 22, and Daryl Wilson, 25, hostage. He then orders one to call the police to report a hostage situation. Now it's getting kind of serious. And within minutes, the police arrive. Kenneth, like in every movie you've seen in this type of situation, fires 2 shots into the ceiling as a warning for authorities to stay back. And as if he practiced, he demands $100,000 and a white limousine.
What?
Yes, and a copy of the book The Widow's Son, a Robert Anton Wilson novel. And in what is an hours-long standoff, Kenneth now paces while ranting about Monaghan, the ads, and the name, the Noid. And then Kenneth, in either the oddest or the most sensible request in this type of situation, orders pizza.
You serious?
Yep, that's right. Kenneth orders pizza. Don't know what kind, but I guess a hostage situation makes him hungry. He orders the workers to make the pizzas. 2 pies to be exact, like it's just another Tuesday. Kenneth is sitting there eating pizza in the middle of an unbelievable situation with a gun in his lap like he's just a regular customer. And what probably feels like
3,000 years later,
one of the hostages, Sean, sees one opportunity where Kenneth is not paying attention. A second. That's all he needed, was just a second. A second is all they needed for both Sean and Daryl to make their escape from this crazy situation. I tried to look them up, and there's absolutely no word or update on where they are now, but I'm pretty sure they never worked at Domino's after that. Not long after, with no hostages and literally no leverage, Kenneth gives up and the standoff is finally over. But this doesn't end here. Kenneth eventually stood trial, but is actually not found guilty by reason of insanity. Instead, is committed to a state facility. What's crazy is at the time the headlines were brutal. Domino's hostages couldn't avoid the Noid this time. News is not the same. And just like that, Domino's shelved the Noid. Although they did deny that the incident was the reason. So no one knows what the real reason the Noid left. Now, every time the Noid reappears, and he has, this is now what people remember first. All right, so I started this video thinking, how does this even happen? How do you go from pizza commercials to a hostage situation? And after reading the case files, it's clearer than I wanted it to be. Domino's built their brand on a few things: speed, convenience. We'll beat the clock, and to make people believe it, they stapled a guarantee to it. 30 minutes or it's free. Then later, 30 minutes or $3 off. It was a guarantee that also trained customers to root for failure. When the pressure ended up backfiring, they created the Noid, a scapegoat in a red suit. Then they plastered him everywhere to win attention and made him a pop culture fixture. But there was a catch. They learned the hard way, you can't control a character once it's out in the wild. And for me, this story is the ultimate lesson of brand accountability, because you can't build your promise on unsafe incentives and expect to joke your way out of the consequences forever.
But everything you do in your past will eventually come back on you.
In the end, the story taught me that the most dangerous part of any marketing promise isn't making it, it's the unintended, often reckless human behavior it incentivizes. So if you enjoyed going through this discovery with me, and you want more videos breaking down the most interesting marketing moments in history, check out my video on how a bear stumbled across cocaine in the woods not too far from where this actual story took place. And this somehow created the best marketing push in Hollywood history. Also, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. And remember,
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
I gotta get a new route.
peace.